Hey everyone, you may recognize these little guys from the Crafternoon Clash series I did with complicated knots, and if you'd like to make your own, grab your hooks and let's get started. To make a chinchilla, you are going to need some 8-ply yarn in 1 or 2 shades, a 4mm hook, scissors, stitch markers and a needle, as well as pins, some stuffing, and you may want a bit of black embroidery thread to make the nose and the mouth details. You're also going to need a pair of safety eyes, but this is where we get into the optional materials. If you're planning to make just a basic non-furry chinchilla, I would recommend a pair of safety eyes that are between 12 and 14mm big. However, if you do want to add faux fur to your chinchilla, I would suggest bumping up that eye size to about a 16 or even an 18mm. Speaking of which, if you do want to make yourself a fuzzy chinchilla, you will need to grab out some faux fur or other fuzzy / novelty yarn to do so. And in order to crochet with the faux fur yarn, you will need an additional hook, one that's either half or one size up from the hook you used to crochet the original pattern. So in this case, I will be using a 4.5mm hook. Before we get into the head and body pattern, which is what we'll be crocheting first, I do want to say that if you would like to add faux fur to this piece to make a fluffy chinchilla, I would highly recommend that you crochet the entire head and body pattern in the back loop only, which is what I've done in this example piece here. So you can see the exposed front loops for each round. So yeah, the entire pattern should be crocheted in the back loop. That even includes the invisible decreases, which are normally worked across the front loops, but in this case you're going to work across the back loops instead. Another thing I would highly recommend doing with the faux fur version of the chinchilla is omitting the safety eyes. I wouldn't add them to this. I would instead wait until you've crocheted the fur on and then insert them later, securing them with some glue. You don't strictly have to do this, but I find this method easier than trying to crochet around the eyes with faux fur. So it's entirely a personal decision, but my recommendation is to go this route. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the head and body pattern. So to begin, we're going to start off our chinchillas by creating a magic circle and then putting 6 single crochet in that magic circle. And 6. And just as a reminder, if you want to add faux fur, from here on out, you're going to work in the back loops exclusively. We're going to start off round 2 by doing 2 increases in a row, and an increase is just 2 single crochet in the same stitch. So we're going to go into our next stitch and pop 1 single crochet in there, and then we're going to go back into the same stitch and do a second. In the second stitch, we'll do the same, 2 single crochet in the same stitch. Then we're going to do 2 half double crochet increases in a row. And a half double crochet increase is 2 half double crochet in the same stitch. To begin, yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over again and pull through. This should leave you with 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over for a final time and then pull through all 3 loops. That was our first half double crochet. We're going to do this again in the same stitch. Yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over and pull through. 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, 3. Yarn over for a final time, pull through all 3. And then we're going to do that again in the following stitch. 2 half double crochet in the same stitch, 1 and 2. And we should have 2 stitches left in our round at this point. We're going to put a single crochet increase in each of them. 1 and 2, that's my first increase. And then increase in the second stitch, or the last stitch, I should say. For round 3, we're going to do 3 single crochet, then 3 increases in a row repeated twice. Begin by doing your 3 single crochet. And just as a reminder, probably the final one, if you're adding faux fur, work this round in the back loop only as well. 2 and 3. There's my first 3 single crochet. We're going to do 3 increases in a row. Then my second increase. And then third increase. And then we're just going to repeat this pattern again for the rest of the round. 3 single crochet followed by 3 increases in a row. For round 4, we're going to start off by doing 3 single crochet again. Then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. And then we're going to repeat 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet increase twice, which means we'll do a half double crochet in the next stitch. And in the stitch after that, we're going to do the increase, which is 2 half double crochet in the same stitch. So there is my first half double crochet, go back into that same stitch again, do the second. And then we'll repeat that pattern once more, a half double crochet in the next stitch, and a half double crochet increase in the stitch after that. First half double crochet back into the same stitch for my second half double crochet. Then we're going to repeat 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet increase 3 times. Single crochet in the next stitch, then an increase in the stitch after that. Repeat that pattern again, single crochet, followed by an increase, and then once more, single crochet, and an increase in the next stitch. After that final increase, you should have 4 stitches left in your round, and we're going to single crochet into each of those. And 4. At the end of round 4, you should now have 24 stitches in your round, and round 5 is just going to be to single crochet around, so we'll be doing 24 single crochet. Round 6 is going to start off with just 6 single crochet. And then we're going to repeat 1 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, then an increase. Our second single crochet, then our second increase. And finally, third single crochet and third increase. Then we're going to follow this third increase by single crocheting for the rest of the round, and that should be 12 single crochet in total. Round 7 is 8 single crochet and an increase repeated 3 times. And then round 8 is 9 single crochet and an increase repeated 3 times. And then for round 9, we're going to begin by doing 9 single crochet. 1, 9. After this 9th single crochet, we're going to do 3 decreases in a row. We'll be using an invisible decrease, and to crochet that, you're going to go under the front loops of the next 2 stitches. So insert your hook under the first front loop. Then you're going to insert your hook straight under the second front loop. At this point, you'll yarn over. You're going to pull through both of those front loops. And at this stage, you should have 2 loops on your hook. you're going to yarn over for a final time, pull through both of those loops and finish your decrease. So that was our first invisible decrease. We're going to do this twice more. You're going to go under the front loops of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, yarn over, pull through both, and then yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on your hook to finish the decrease. Once more. And then once you've finished your 3 decreases, we're just going to single crochet for the remainder of the round, which should be 18 stitches all up. For round 10, we're going to begin by doing 6 single crochet. And then once you've done that 6 single crochet, we're going to repeat 1 single crochet, 1 decrease 3 times. That means single crochet in the next stitch, decrease across the next 2, single crochet, second decrease, and then third single crochet followed by third decrease. And like with the previous round, we're just going to single crochet across the stitches that remain, and in this case there should be 15. And then for round 11, we're going to do 7 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 3 times. At the end of round 11, just secure your yarn because we're going to insert the safety eyes. And the safety eyes are inserted between rounds 5 and 6 on either side of the head. But before we put them in, we want to position the head correctly. So if you look at the head from either the top or the side, you should be able to see the area where we stacked both our increases and then more recently our decreases. That is the front of the face. So this is where the nose would be. So you want to make sure that that is facing forward. That is the front of the head. And then you're going to grab one of your safety eyes, count out from round 1 until you reach round 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then in between rounds 5 and 6, you're going to place the first eye. Then you're going to grab your second eye, and we want to place this on the opposite side of the head in roughly the same position. Okay, and the main thing we're looking to do here is make sure that our eyes are symmetrical. So you may need to do a little bit of tweaking and adjusting to get them to sit so if I open up my headpiece a little bit, I think my right eye sits a little bit too far forward, so I'm going to adjust that. Actually, no, I think it's the left eye that's off. I want to move that forward. And let's have a look at that. Okay, I think that's slightly better. So once your eyes are in position, you're going to pop the safety backs on. Let's get a nice click going here. Nice. And then the same on the other side. That wasn't as nice. But now that the safety eyes are in, we're going to continue on with round 12. And for round 12, we're going to start off with a half double crochet increase. So if you'll remember from earlier in the pattern, a half double crochet increase is 2 half double crochet in the same stitch. And 2, and if you're popping your stitch marker back in, remember to pop it in the first half double crochet. We're going to follow this first half double crochet increase with 18 single crochet. And then upon finishing those 18 single crochet, you should have 5 stitches left in the round. We're going to do a half double crochet increase in each of those. For round 13, we're going to start off by doing just one single crochet. And then let's pop our stitch marker back in there. In the next stitch, we're going to do an increase, and this time we're just doing a single crochet increase. This isn't a half double crochet increase. We're then going to do 18 single crochet again. And then to finish this round, we're going to do one single crochet, one increase repeated 5 times. And again, these aren't half double crochet increases. These are just regular single crochet increases. At the end of round 13, you should have 36 stitches in your round, and then rounds 14, 15, and 16 are each just going to be single crochet rounds. So for 3 rounds, you're just going to do 36 single crochet. And then for round 17, we're going to do 10 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 3 times. And then both rounds 18 and 19 are 33 single crochet. So we're just single crocheting for 2 rounds. And then for round 20, we're going to start off by doing 1 decrease. You back in there. We're going to follow this decrease with 21 single crochet. And 21. After that 21st single crochet, we should have 10 stitches left, and across those 10 stitches, we're going to do 5 decreases. And then our 5th and final decrease of the round. Once you've completed round 20, secure your end again, and we're going to begin adding the stuffing. At this stage, we're going to firmly stuff the head. We're going to add a small portion of the stuffing to the body, but for the remainder of the body, we're going to continue stuffing as we go. And we want to make sure that we press our stuffing firmly into the nose section here. That should protrude just a little bit. And now that I've added my stuffing to the head and partially stuffed the body here, we're going to continue crocheting. And as I said before, I'm just going to continue adding the stuffing as I go. You reinsert your hook. And then for round 21, we're going to do 7 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 3 times. Then round 22 is 2 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. And then after round 22, I'm going to take the opportunity to add a bit more stuffing. And then we're going to carry on with the last couple of rounds. Round 23 is 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. If you think you need any more stuffing after round 23, add that now. But if not, or after you've done that, we're going to continue on with round 24, which is our final round, and that is just 6 decreases. Then we're just going to snip our yarn. And for this next part, you'll need your needle. Pull up with your hook, and then you're going to thread your yarn end through the needle. And now we'll close up this little hole that we've got at the bottom of our piece here. To do that, you're going to insert your needle under the front loop, push it forward and then towards you. And we're going to repeat this on all 6 stitches. Under the front loop, push it forward towards you. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Now pull firmly on your yarn and that hole should close up. We're going to reinsert our needle back into the center of that hole and then just weave it in through the body 3 or 4 times to secure it. And then just snip away your excess yarn, and there is our body piece finished. The second piece that we're going to crochet is the tail. Like with the head and body, if you want to add the faux fur, I would very much recommend you crochet the entire pattern in the back loop only. So again, you can see the exposed front loops here. But if you would like to crochet just the regular non-fuzzy chinchilla, you just crochet in both loops as normal. We're going to start off the tail by making a magic circle and putting 6 single crochet in that magic circle. And then for round 2, we're going to go 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeated 3 times. So we've got a single crochet, then an increase, second single crochet, second increase, and then finally third single crochet and third increase. Round 3 is 2 single crochet and an increase repeated 3 times. And then rounds 4 through to 8, which is the next 5 rounds, are 12 single crochet each. And then round 9 is 4 single crochet and a decrease repeated twice. And then rounds 10 through to 14 are each 10 single crochet. Round 15 is then 3 single crochet and a decrease repeated twice. And then to finish off, rounds 16 through to 20 are each 8 single crochet. When you're finished, you're just going to cut a yarn tail for sewing because we will need to attach this to the body. And then as a finishing touch, we're just going to add some stuffing. And there we go, tail complete. And just as another reminder, if you want to add the fur, work the entire piece in the back loop only. The next pieces that we're going to make are the ears, and you will need to make 2 of these. I'm switching out to my slightly darker grey yarn, but you can make these in the same colour yarn if you'd like to. We're going to begin with a magic circle for round 1, but after that point we will be working in rows. So for round 1, create a magic circle, and then in that magic circle put 6 single crochet. And as I mentioned, we're going to work in rows from this point onwards. So start round 2, or row 2 I should say, start row 2 by chaining 1, and turning your work. In the first stitch, which in this case will be the second stitch from the hook because we're skipping the chain we just made, we're going to do 1 single crochet. In the second stitch, we're going to do an increase, 2 single crochet in the same stitch, 1 and then 2. In the third stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet, and we're going to follow this with a half double crochet increase in the second stitch. Again, that is 2 half double crochet in the same stitch. And then we should have 2 stitches left. In them, we're going to do first a single crochet, and then to finish, an increase, a single crochet increase. And increase. Row 3 also begins with a chain and a turn, but this time we're going to do 2 single crochet followed by an increase. Then 2 half double crochet followed by a half double crochet increase. And then we're going to finish this row by doing 2 more single crochet and a single crochet increase. And then our final row of this piece is row 4. Again, chain 1, turn your work. This time we're doing 3 single crochet and an increase, then 3 half double crochet and a half double crochet increase, and we're going to finish with 3 single crochet and another increase. There is our first ear complete. In this case, you want to leave yourself sort of an extra long yarn tail because we're going to do a bit of shaping before we sew the ears to the head, and you will need a bit of yarn to do that. So chop there, and then you'll want to make yourself a second ear. And now that we have our 2 ear pieces all crocheted up, we're going to move on to our last piece, which is the legs. And with the legs, I will also be using the dark grey yarn, and you will need to make 2 of those as well. So the legs, like all the other pieces in this pattern, begin with a magic circle and 6 single crochet. Round 2 is 2 single crochet and an increase repeated twice. And then both rounds 3 and 4 are 8 single crochet. Round 5 is 2 single crochet and a decrease repeated twice. And then rounds 6 through to 10 are each 6 single crochet. And then you will need to leave a tail for sewing in this case as well. Then you'll just want to make yourself a second little leg and we can move on to the assembly stage. Now we should have all the pieces that we need to assemble our chinchilla. We've got a head and body piece, a tail piece, 2 ears and 2 legs. I'm going to go through the assembly instructions first, and then I'm going to show you how to attach the fur to the second piece, because you will need to assemble that as well, and it's the exact same process as what we're about to do here. It's just there is a step in between, and that is to attach the faux fur. So to begin, we're going to grab the tail piece, and you'll want to thread the yarn end through your needle. And if you want to, you can use pins for this next section, though because these pieces are relatively small, you don't strictly need to. And we're going to position the head/body piece so that it is facing forward away from us, and it is resting on a flat surface as so. For the tail, we're going to put that directly onto the spine, so here. I'm going to press that right up against the body. as it's laying flat on the table or whatever surface you're working with. So basically like that. Look at it from the top. You want to make sure the tail is sort of aligned between the eyes. It's centered there with about round one. And once it's in position, you know what? I will grab a couple of pins. Once it's in position, you can sew that on. Once you've made your way back to the start, you have two options here. You can leave the tail as it is and then just weave in your yarn end to secure it, or you can do what I'm going to do, what I like to do, and that is wrap the tail around the front of the body, so like this, and then pass your needle through the body across to about the tip, the end of the tail, and then just put in a couple of stitches to secure it that way. So again, you can leave it like that if you want to, but I'm going to wrap my tail around, and you can wrap it either side. That is totally a personal choice. And then I'm going to insert my needle back into the stitch I just emerged from. I'm going to push it across the body to roughly where the end of the tail wrapped around, and then just push it out. I'm going to pull that through. And I'll just do another quick test here. So I'm sitting my chinchilla flat, going to wrap that around, and you can see there that my yarn does line up with the tail. There's no specific, round or anything you have to meet. It just has to be underneath the tail. And then I am going to work up into the tail, and I'm going to put in a couple of stitches, sewing the tail to the body. And once I've done those 3 or 4 stitches securing my tail, at that point I'm going to weave in the yarn end through the body to secure it and finish off. And if you didn't wrap your tail around the body, you're just going to skip that step and go straight to weaving in your yarn end like I'm doing here. There we go. And snip. The next pieces that we're going to sew on are the legs. The legs sit directly under the body, and I usually like to sit them just in front of the last round. So this is the final round here. We're going to go either side of that. We're going to put one leg, but what I would recommend you do is maybe put them in position first, set your chinchilla down, and if you don't like how that looks, if you think the legs stick out too far, you can move them backwards. And in doing so, I apologize, I just misspoke earlier. I do not put them in front of the final round, I put them behind it. So the end of the tail should line up behind the final round. So my bad, my apologies. But that is why we check. That is why we check. So there are my legs. I'm going to leave those there. I'm just going to make sure they're in line, they're even, and then we're going to sew those on as well. You don't need to sew on the entire leg. You can just put some stitches across the back here, or you can put some stitches across the back and up the side. So don't need to worry about sewing the whole lot on unless you want to. If you're, I don't know, perhaps giving this to a kid, you might want to make sure it's as secure as possible. Alrighty, and then the last pieces that we need to attach are the ears, but they require a little bit of preparation. So I'm going to set you aside for now, my friend, and bring in the ears. Now, to begin with, the tail end from your magic circle, you can weave that in through the backs of the stitches if you want to. I prefer to just leave those as is, and then I'll weave them into the body later on. I just find that easier. As I just said, we're going to do a bit of preparation for the ears. We need to shape them. And to do so, we're going to take the inner corners of our ear pieces here, and we're going to fold them outwards until the corner aligns between rounds 1 and 2, so roughly here. So grab that inner corner, we're going to pull it across and line it up like that. So we're not going all the way to the other edge, we're stopping in between rounds 1 and 2 here. Just there. To hold that in position, you're going to take the longer tail end that we left after we finished the ears, thread that through your needle, and then just, again, making sure the corner is in the correct position, we're going to sew the two sides together. And it doesn't have to be super perfect, this stitching here, because we are going to be sewing the ears to the head as well, and that will help close up any remaining holes or gaps. Get in there. Okay, so that's the first ear. What you do need to be careful of though is that you don't fold both ears the same way, because we do want to have a distinctive left and right ear. So we folded this ear from left to right, and we're going to do the opposite with the second ear. So we're going to fold it from right to left. Again, take the inner corner, line it up between rounds 1 and 2 here, and then just sew those edges together. Now with this one, because my tail end is further out, I am going to weave it through the backs of my stitches. So I've flipped my piece over. I'm just going to push that through, pushing it through the backs of my stitches until the tip of my needle lines up with the inner corner of my earpiece. And I'm going to pull it out there. So don't pull this too firmly because you'll distort the outer corner. You want to keep that flat. But once you're in position, then you can begin sewing the earpiece together at the bottom. So now we have both earpieces shaped, and we have a right and left ear. We're going to attach them to the head. There isn't a specific round placement for these ears. It more depends on where precisely you placed the safety eyes. But we do want to place the ears roughly 2 stitches back from those safety eyes on either side. So if I put you here, and also personal preference comes into play too. You can decide how you want your chinchilla to look. So there, roughly 2 stitches back. If you want, you can angle the ears a little bit so that the bottom can be placed further back than the top. Like so. And then I would recommend not sewing on the first ear yet. I think I might need to move that a little bit closer. So yeah, I would highly recommend placing or pinning both ears first, seeing what that looks like, and then sewing them on once you've made any adjustments. Because they're a bit hard to move after you've already... What the hell was that? I have a pirouetting chinchilla. Just play around with it for a bit. Move the ears until you're happy with their positioning. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is get rid of these magic circle ends, and to do that I'm going to thread them through my needle, and they're just going straight into the body. And then after that I'm just going to sew on both the ears. And that is all the assembly done. As a final little bit of detail you can add, you can grab yourself some black embroidery thread and just put on a little, where are we? A little nose. That is the non-furry chinchilla all finished. So if that was all you were after, class dismissed, you are free to go. But if you would like to make the furry version, we are going to cover that now. As I said, the rest of the assembly remains exactly the same. We just need to add the faux fur first. We'll begin with the head and body piece. You want to grab your hook first, and you can use the same hook size that you did to crochet the body, but I would recommend going up half or even one size. I've found that using the recommended hook size of the faux fur itself that hook was too large, so I would jump up, as I said, half or one hook size from whatever you use to make the body. In my case, that is going to be my 4.5mm hook. Okay, so once you have that, you want to insert it into the first free back loop. So that would have been like the first stitch of round 2, or I should say the first increase of round 2. Once you've got that hook in there, we're going to bring in the faux fur, and you're just going to join that with a slip stitch. Alright, so now that's done, all we need to do is single crochet in a continuous spiral following the free front loops, the ones that we've left exposed, and you're just going to single crochet all the way around until you reach the end. It can be tricky to see your stitches sometimes, so you may need to push the faux fur aside, but you just want to go in there, and we're just going to single crochet, and there is a good chance that you're going to have to do some of this by feel rather than sight, because the faux fur does tend to get in the way a little bit. Now you want to continue this until you reach the bottom, but in this case, I'm not going to do that because I'm a little bit concerned that I'm not going to have enough of this white faux fur yarn left, because I need it for the tail, but also for another upcoming project, and I really don't want to have to buy more of this awful stuff. So I'm gonna finish off there. And to be honest, you could probably do the same if you wanted to, because the chinchilla is designed to sit flat, so it's not like you're going to see this bit anyway. But once you are finished, whether or not you decided to finish off a couple of rounds early or crochet your way all to the end, we're just going to weave in the yarn end. And then we're going to apply the same technique to the tail. So you're going to grab your tail piece. You're going to insert your hook into the first free front loop, join your yarn with another slip stitch, and then, like we did with the head and body, just single crochet your way around the free front loops until you reach the very end. And then when you finish adding the faux fur to the tail, we're just going to do the same thing, weave in all the yarn ends. And from this point, we assemble the chinchilla the exact same way that we did the original one. We put all the pieces in the same spot. If you haven't included your safety eyes already, you might want to put those in first. Because the fur does make the chinchilla look quite a bit larger than the original, I would recommend bumping up your safety eye size. So you want to put them on. I don't have my glue handy at the moment, but you will need to secure them with glue. And there we have it. Our chinchillas are complete. Like, check out the size difference just because we worked in the back loop only and added faux fur. That's the same yarn weight and hook size. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this chinchilla pattern. If you make one, feel free to share it in the Discord, and I will see you all in the next one.